Hi everyone, my name is Barry, and this is a very different video from what I usually upload. I decided to make a little passion project video. I just had this idea when I was drinking iced tea, I'm sorry. But this is a video on a theory that I have about the Nekomew franchise, both games. Before the second game comes out, technically, so it's about to be like 3 games, but this is a theory on one of the characters that I don't think only a few people pointed this out in the fandom. It's a very small fandom consisting of both English and Spanish fandom. But a theory on one of the characters, and that is the doll, and a theory that I think that the doll is possessed by a certain someone that we barely see in the franchise, but is a main point to our main character. Before you guys watch this, I mean, like, go ahead, you can do whatever the fuck you want, bro. But, I implore you guys to, at least play Nightmares or Potty Trouble. I personally recommend playing Nekomews Nightmares because that's the way better game, but both games are essentially important as they are intertwined with each other, even though Nightmares is, like, kind of a soft reboot. Kinda, but Potty Trouble's still canon, lol. But both of them are really underrated games and not what you think they are. Trust me, you are missing out on the peak. Unironically, I'm just a big fan. I'm just autistic, man. Come on. I love these games. But I feel like if you at least watch gameplay of it, then you'd probably understand. But I'm gonna be showing gameplay footage of here when it comes to, like, certain points, so I don't think you could, I don't really know. Do whatever you want. This is a funny little video. Everyone has their own opinions. If you personally don't think the doll is possessed, that's okay, that's cool, but Paike will like confirm it or not confirm it. I'm not sure. I'm not Paike when I know him, but I'm not him. But anyway, let's get to the theory. So if you're new to the Nekomew series, I'm going to give you a little rundown on the main synopsis of all the games. Nekomew, in both Potty Trouble and Nightmares, are indie rhythm horror games that follow a 5-year-old cat named Nekomew who just moved in with his new family, who just adopted him from the orphanage. During the nights of each game, Nekomew has to come up and face his fears that are basically traumas from his past family and what he went through before the dogs adopted him. And he is guided by a magical talking doll. Wow, the main protagonist of this theory. He does the more, Doll does most of the talking in both games. Nekomew cannot talk. He probably, I personally had kidded him with selective mutism, but he cannot talk in any of the games whatsoever. He is nonverbal, and Doll does most of the dialogue and the speaking from Nekomew's perspective. So the doll is technically, I know that's probably like very stupid to bring up, but at the same time, this is a non-scripted video. So the doll is a character that first appeared when Nekomew and his family moved to the new house. Nekomew technically found the doll in one of the boxes. We don't know who made the doll. I'm gonna get into that later though, because I have a little concrete theory about who made the doll. I used to headcanon that his father made the doll, which I was gonna use in this theory, but guess what? It's fanon. It's not canon. It just came from my little mind when I first played the game back in like 2022. But he acts as the main mechanic where you have to flash him at enemies, but also a tutorial guide, and basically is Nekomew's quote-unquote mentor for both games. And possibly the next game, since the doll is seen in some of the teaser images of Nekomew 2. But however, the main thing that people talk about, as much as the entire game is a fantasy world, we have literal talking animals in this game. There's no humans in the Nekomew franchise, from my understanding. So it's just all like talking animal people. This is a fantasy setting. But one thing that people don't talk about is, how is the doll talking? Is he magical? Is he like, is he all like made up in Nekomew's mind as like a quote-unquote imaginary friend? As much as these claims are really, really good, I personally used to think that he was like an imaginary friend. I think that's like common knowledge, that his doll talks to him at night. But however, Specific things in both games actually allude to the doll being possessed by a certain someone. I'm not gonna glaze over it. It's the dad, but not his adopted dad, his dead dad, basically. And there's a lot of, some of it might be a stretch, but there's a lot of evidence pointing to both the dad and, spoiler warning, the cult that his mother and sister are in that helps them try to go find Nekomew during the entire game. And you might be wondering, like, what the fuck, there's cults in this game? Yeah, there's cults in this game. The scary thing about explaining the Nekomew lore to people is the fact that, like, I have to bring up that, but I know the main to drive away from the series is the P thing, but what about the cults, bro? What about the cults? Yeah, there's cults in this game. There's one specific cult we don't know much about, but we know that the mom is a part of it and the sister has been roped into it. That gave them, like, powers or some shit, but, we'll get into that later when I actually get to the point where I talk about the cult, but for now, I want to touch up on about Nekomews Doll and certain reactions and certain dialogue that he says both in Potty Trouble and Nightmares that allude to him being possessed by the dad. In both games, Doll is portrayed as a caring and kind mentor to Nekomew. I've already established that though, so, yeah, but it's more of a stretch, but it's funny how fatherly he's portrayed. I don't know if it's intentional or not, but he's always there to keep our protagonist in check and comforts and cheers him on, just like any father would, and I think that's sweet, but yet, what he says sometimes in the tutorials, in both games, it's not just Potty Trouble, it's not just Nightmares, it's in both of the games. It throws me off a bit. There are two examples. For first example, his line in the car tutorial in the Nightmares game, he says the following: "I'm sure someday you'll meet again." How does he know this, first and foremost? I don't know why he said this. He just met the kid 2 nights ago. Like, he literally, in the beginning of the game, Nekomew finds the doll. You may be probably thinking, oh, it's probably because the doll knows about his fears and stuff. But honestly, I'm not really sure about that, especially in Potty Trouble. There is a way better example, in my opinion, is in Rui's level in Potty Trouble. I'll play the clip because, yeah. The fact that Doll stalled for a bit while teaching Nekomew how to do what Rui is, like, really interesting to me. It's almost as if he knows something. He's incredibly vague on how to deal with the rat as well. I mean, outside of lore reasons to why he's vague, I feel like that makes a lot of people struggle with him. He's like unironically, from all the gameplay I've seen, this is really off topic, but Rui's like the most stressful character for people who play the game. He's incredibly vague, but I wonder why. The entire cutscene in general is just off. It's not like the other ones where the doll explains it. It's not just Doll explaining, it's also the music. The music's different. In the files for the first game, it's labeled as Tutorial 2 and it only plays in Rui's level, which is interesting. For me, Rui is considered an important character in the series, especially since the second game can be hospital-based. His debut is very mysterious, but Doll acting suspicious is really weird too. For me, the reason why is because the dad possessed the doll. He knew a bit of Rui as well, since in the Nightmares cutscene it was revealed that Rui did his CPR and failed miserably. Again, it's just a stretch, but what can I say? That's like the most vague this game has ever been. Second and last example, there is something that many people don't know about Doll. Mainly in Potty Trouble because Nightmares has a different rendering for some of the characters. But in Potty Trouble, on the back of Doll's head, you can only see this in the pre-night cutscenes, there's a weird symbol stitched onto him. I don't really think anyone noticed besides a few YouTubers that played the game, but on the back of Doll's head, there's a symbol that looks like a monster face. It looks weird as hell. I'm not sure if it was intentional or not intentional, but it's there, and it leads to my theory on how the dad is possessing the doll. So let me bring up that cult again. When I mentioned the cult earlier, I was not kidding. A character nobody talks about is the goat, who's the leader of the cult. Nekomew's abusive mom goes to retrieve a mysterious book that summons nightmares and makes into a reality to track down easily scared kids. The symbol on Doll's head might not just be texturing being weird. I kinda outlined it so it makes sense, but I told you it kinda looks like a demon face if you look. In short, one of the chapters of the book that the goat gives the mom during one of the extra mode cutscenes reads, Chapter 8, Nightmare Creation for Groups of Infants. This is the chapter that was used to summon nightmares for Nekomew and the entire town, since all the kids in the game have been disappearing left and right over the new town that they moved in. I think that during the ritual, the dad's spirit got caught up in said practice and ended up in the doll instead of going to either the spirit realm or something, whatever. Again, nothing big to back it up, but since the doll knows so much about Nekomew and, like all the other nightmares, he only comes alive at night. He does not talk to Nekomew during the day. It's only at night and in his nightmares and dreams. Just like the others, it technically fits the idea. Anyway, thank you guys for listening to me ramble about my favorite game in the entire world. I wanted to make this video because I think it would be funny, but I know I don't talk about Nekomew much. I'm very scared to talk about Nekomew because everybody genuinely misunderstands the game, but when I say that this game is genuinely like really fun and brilliant and you guys are missing out on that, I mean it, I mean it. Don't listen to what random YouTube people say, Steve reviews say, this stuff is amazing. Yeah, very stressful, but that's my little theory. I have a lot other Nekomew theories. I mean, this is like the best one that I have, but it's a little theory. Nobody really makes Nekomew theories on characters, and the majority of it's from the Spanish community, so what if? I'm a very prominent member in the English side of the community, so I wanted to at least, you know, do something for all the English fans. Anyway, thank you for watching. Yay!